Feya, come here. Yes, Mama? Have your soup. Okay, Mama. I'm sorry, child. Dr. Parker, we've received the funding for the research project in Malaysia. You'll be heading the team. That's great. When is the flight? You'll have to be there in 3 days. Malaysia? We're going to Malaysia? This project is really important, Laura. We have to go. Have you forgotten it's not just you and me? Peter is only 3 months. How is he going to adjust over there? We don't know anyone. We don't even know the language. Laura, bear with me. It's only for 6 months and we'll be back to America. And I promise you, the foundation will arrange everything. It won't be as difficult as it seems. Dr. Jonathan Parker is the head of the Botany Department at the BII Scientific Research Foundation. For the past 3 years, he has been researching on certain wild herbs native to the Borneo forest in Malaysia, which could potentially hold a cure to cancer. And finally being approved for the funds by the foundation, he and his crew could conduct an on-field research in Malaysia themselves. Having recently become a mother, Laura, his wife, wasn't too fond of the idea. But knowing how passionate Jonathan has always been about his work, she couldn't say no. And off they were across the world to Asia. We're here, Dr. Parker. This is your quarter. The jeep came to a stop in front of a small house in a rural village nestled beside the Borneo. As the guide spoke with Jonathan, Laura stepped out with the baby staring at their new home. This is where we'll be living? It's so remote. There's nothing around here. Don't worry, Mrs. Parker. The facility is 15 minutes walk away north, and the marketplace is 10 minutes south. Seems like a storm is on its way. The weather has been a little off these past days. There's a motorbike you can use for transportation. Food and water has been arranged for tonight. Here's my number, just in case you need anything. Thank you so much. Mosquitoes. So many mosquitoes. Well, it's not too different back in New York these days either. I guess. You know, I'm actually enjoying it. The fresh air, the beautiful environment. And this smells way better than your microwave cooking back home. What did you say? Dr. Parker, Laura, and their son coped pretty well in the new environment. Early the next morning, the guide dropped by to escort Dr. Parker to the facility and around town. This area is protected by the Foundation to preserve its natural environment. It's a priority to collect as many samples of the plant life as possible. Dr. Parker was amazed by the life of these forests. For centuries, the natives have been using herbal medicines scavenged from these forests to cure nearly everything. And seeing its beauty, Dr. Parker was determined to preserve it. Over the rest of the week, Dr. Parker became quite occupied by his work. Every morning, he would be out to the reserve. And by the time he would be back, it would be nearly 10 p.m. Come the weekend, Dr. Parker finally had the day off. He sat out in the balcony as Laura was cooking up breakfast. He smiled, noticing the young girl. She passed by here with her flower basket every day. Dr. Parker watched as she tried to pick some flowers from the neighbor's garden. But just as she did, the old woman stormed out, yelling and waving her cane at her. "Get away from here! How many times did I tell you, stay away from my home?" As the little girl froze up, the old woman picked up some stones to throw at her. Go from here!" Surprised by her reaction, Dr. Parker hurried over and got a hold of the girl. "What are you doing, Grandma? She's just a child." "Child? She's no child. She's a demon. A demon." "What?" "Get that monster away from me." Realizing the woman wasn't quite at her senses anymore, Dr. Parker ushered the little girl. "Come on, I think it's better if we listen." "All right, Grandma, we're going." "Some crazy old lady. I just wanted one of her flowers." "What's your name?" "Feya." "Feya, I'm Dr. Parker." "Come on, I'll walk you home. Where do you live?" "That way." Walking about 10 minutes, Dr. Parker and Feya reached her home. As soon as her mother opened the door, there was a look of worry on her face as she grabbed hold of her daughter. "You spoiled child! What have you done again? I am so sorry, mister." "Feya, get inside." No, she didn't do anything. The old woman next door seems a bit grumpy today. She was scolding her, so I thought I'd bring her home. I'm Dr. Parker. My wife and I recently moved here." The woman fell quiet as she stared at her daughter. Dr. Parker smiled at Feya. "I'll see you again sometime. But next time, let's remember not to bother the old lady, all right?" Feya nodded as her mother pulled her inside and shut the door. As Dr. Parker was to leave, he could hear her mother scolding her. Poor kid. Dr. Parker felt a little guilty. Maybe he shouldn't have come here. The next day, he didn't see the little girl on the way to work. That day at work, Dr. Parker hiked far out into the forest in search of a certain plant. But hours passed by to no avail. Is there someone here? Must be an animal. Reaching the riverside, Dr. Parker sat down to organize his samples. When he heard a noise behind him, he turned, startled to spot Feya hiding behind one of the trees. Feya, what are you doing out here? Alone? You could have gotten lost. I don't get lost. I know these forests. Come here. As Feya walked closer to him, he noticed a bruise on her forehead. I don't think your mother will like it if she knew. Feya looked down at her basket. For the first time, Dr. Parker noticed the unusual flowers she collected. Where did you find these? They grow by the river. They're very sweet. Here, have one. Feya took a flower and had the nectar. She then looked at Dr. Parker's collection. That's a rhododendron, a slipper orchid, and a cannabuluensis. Wow, it seems you know a lot about plants. I can show you more. That afternoon, Dr. Parker followed Feya, amazed to discover an array of herbs within the forest. He was impressed by the little girl. Returning to the base, Dr. Parker asked Feya, "It's going to rain. Are you sure you'll be able to get back?" "Yes." "Feya, if you ever need anything or anyone to talk to, you know where I am." That day at work turned out rather fruitful. But Dr. Parker had never imagined the tragedy that would soon hit. The next morning, on the way to work, he was surprised to see police by Feya's home. "What happened here, officer?" "The woman has passed away, leaving her child." "What? How did this happen?" "Seems to be the effects of poison. Very unfortunate. The child lost her father to an accident 4 years ago, and now she's lost her mother. She has nowhere to go." "Where is she?" Spotting Feya with the officers, Dr. Parker felt for the child and requested to foster her. After much arbitration, he was finally given permission. "What were you thinking? It's been so difficult handling one child and now another." "She has no one, Laura." "You aren't being reasonable, John." "She's going to stay with us, Laura. I don't want to hear anything about it." It wasn't that Laura didn't feel for the little girl, but she found it strange that no one would foster her in the village. Feya was a bit peculiar herself. That night, she barely ate anything. Laura thought she was upset. But in the next few days, things went on the same. "Feya, if you don't eat, you'll fall sick." "I don't want to eat this." "What do you want?" Laura watched as Feya walked into the kitchen, looking around. She was bewildered seeing the girl pick up one of the raw fish. "Feya, what are you doing?" "I'm hungry." Laura watched in shock as Feya tore the fish into pieces and put them in a pot. She then boiled it for a while. This is almost raw. Is this something the people eat here? I like fish and I like fruit. I don't like anything else. Feya, don't you go to school? Mama said I don't have to. She didn't like me mixing with other kids. Well, from now on, you will go to school, alright? Laura arranged for Feya to be enrolled at the village school. She got the girl ready and dropped her off. But that afternoon, as she was waiting for Feya at dismissal, something strange happened. Feya, is this your friend? He's in my class. As Laura was talking to the kids, all of a sudden, the boy's mother grabbed hold of him and pushed Feya away. Get that changeling away from my child. What? She's my daughter. You're making a mistake. Don't keep her. She killed her mother and her father, and she won't be any good for you either. Laura was shocked by the woman's behavior, how concerned she looked to be around Feya. And not just her, but everyone, everywhere Laura would go with Feya, she would sense people were afraid of her. There were rumors in the village that she was cursed, she was a bad omen, she was responsible for her parents' death. Remembering the old woman next door, Laura thought she'd visit her. Perhaps she could know something. What do you want? May we talk? Is she with you? No. Come in. Entering the woman's home, Laura was intrigued by charms and lockets hung up on the walls. The old woman lived all by herself here. You're here for her, aren't you? Yes. What is it with Feya? Why is everyone so afraid of her? Because she is not as innocent as she looks. She is no girl. What? Almost 8 years ago, Amira and Fidel had gotten married and built a small cottage of theirs. They were a happy couple, and just months into their marriage, they received news of a child. The couple gave birth to a daughter, Feya. It seemed everything was going perfect in their lives. Until the 9th month, when Feya fell ill. No doctor could treat the child. And on a dreadful cold winter night, the child passed away. The parents were devastated. That night, they gave the child her last bath and prepared her for her burial. As Fidel arranged the grave, Amira placed her daughter in a cradle by the window. She cried in grief that night as she waited for Fidel to return and take the child. But sometime in the middle of the night, she heard a sound, a cry. Amira rushed to the cradle, hearing her Feya. pick her up. It's not your baby. It's a changeling. We must bury her. No. No, it's my Feya. Amira believed her child had come back to life, but others believe she was replaced by another being, a changeling. Since then, everyone has been scared of her, keeping their distance from the child. She is cursed. Beware of her, and keep your child away from her.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.